Growth starts where comfort ends. The moment you decide to grow, the universe begins to challenge you. It doesn't hand you strength. It gives you opportunities to build it. It doesn't give you clarity. It forces you to face confusion until you find your truth. And it never gives you success until you've proven that you can handle struggle. That's the price of transformation. You must understand that every ounce of growth is earned through discomfort. The more you resist that truth, the more you delay your evolution. You cannot stay comfortable and expect to change. You cannot seek safety and expect to soar. Comfort feels good for a moment, but it kills your potential over time. It makes you lazy, predictable, and numb to the call of your purpose. Every person who has reached greatness has walked through the valley of discomfort. They've faced rejection, failure, and countless moments of doubt. But instead of running, they stayed. They embraced the pain because they knew it was refining them. The fire that burns you is the same fire that forges you. Growth has always demanded courage, the courage to take risks, to look foolish, to make mistakes, and to keep going despite fear. The people who succeed are not those who never fall. They're the ones who keep rising, who keep adapting, who keep stretching even when it hurts. You must be willing to let go of the version of yourself that is comfortable and step into the version that is capable. Comfort is seductive. It whispers that you can stay where you are, that what you have is enough, that it's okay to rest a little longer. But the truth is, comfort keeps you stuck. It convinces you that your potential can wait, that tomorrow will be a better day to start, that you'll take action when you feel ready. But ready never comes. Growth requires movement even when you're afraid. It asks you to take the first step without knowing where the second will lead. It demands faith, persistence, and a willingness to fail forward. Because failure is not the opposite of growth. It's the foundation of it. You will never evolve by avoiding pain. The pain you run from contains the very lessons that can set you free. Every uncomfortable moment is a mirror showing you what still needs to be healed, improved, or strengthened. The struggle you face is not punishment, it's preparation. Life is not testing your worth, it's testing your willingness to rise. When you choose to grow, you're telling the universe that you're ready for more, and the universe responds by giving you exactly what will make you stronger. That means challenges, that means loss, that means moments that shake you. But those moments are where your transformation begins. There's something powerful that happens when you stop fearing discomfort and start seeking it. You stop playing small. You stop protecting your ego and start building your strength. You stop blaming circumstances and start taking control. You begin to understand that growth is not about what you gain, it's about who you become. Every time you step into discomfort, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more, and that confidence becomes fuel. It drives you to keep evolving, to keep learning, to keep creating a life that reflects your full potential. You have to become intentional about your discomfort. Don't just let it happen, create it. Push yourself into situations that stretch you. Speak when you're nervous. Try when you're uncertain. Learn when you feel unprepared. The discomfort you willingly embrace builds a kind of strength that comfort can never give you. When you start chasing growth instead of ease, you begin to experience life at a deeper level. You feel alive because you're expanding. You begin to love the challenge because it's shaping you into someone unrecognizable from who you once were. The problem is, most people never reach this stage. They settle too soon. They get a glimpse of improvement and they stop. They think they've arrived, but growth doesn't have an endpoint. The moment you stop evolving, you start decaying. There is no finish line in personal development, only new levels of awareness, wisdom, and purpose. You must stay hungry, stay curious, and stay uncomfortable. Don't let the comfort of stability rob you of the beauty of transformation. Your growth will demand that you outgrow people, places, and patterns that no longer serve you. It will be lonely sometimes, but that loneliness is where you find your strength. If you want to grow, you must stop seeking approval. Growth often looks like isolation before it looks like success. People won't always understand your journey. They'll call you obsessed, too serious, too focused. Let them. You're not here to be understood. You're here to evolve. You're not here to fit in. You're here to rise. Every time you choose discomfort, you separate yourself from the ordinary. Every time you push through fear, you prove that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. Growth is not something that happens once. It's something that happens every day. Every day you're given a choice to stay comfortable or to expand. The small choices, the extra hour of effort, the difficult conversation, the moment of honesty with yourself, these are what shape your future. You don't become great overnight. You become great by consistently doing what others avoid. Growth is built one uncomfortable moment at a time. So, stop waiting for life to get easier. Stop praying for things to calm down. Instead, pray for the strength to handle what's next. Pray for the courage to walk through discomfort with faith. Growth doesn't happen when life is peaceful. It happens when life is uncertain, and you keep moving anyway. Remember this, comfort will give you a temporary sense of peace, but growth will give you permanent power. You can have one or the other, but never both. Choose the one that builds you. Choose the one that challenges you. Choose the one that forces you to evolve, because that's where life truly begins, just beyond your comfort zone. Discipline is the foundation of all growth. It is the quiet force that builds empires, shapes minds, and transforms ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. Motivation may ignite your passion, but it burns out quickly. Discipline, on the other hand, is the steady flame that keeps you moving when the excitement fades, when no one is watching, and when every part of you wants to stop. If you depend on feeling inspired to take action, you'll never reach your potential. But if you train yourself to act despite your emotions, there's nothing you cannot achieve. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about showing up every single day and doing the work even when you don't feel like it. The truth is, growth requires structure. It demands that you build habits so strong they can carry you through your weakest days. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack discipline. They start strong but stop halfway, waiting for motivation to return. But motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. The disciplined person doesn't wait for the perfect mood, the perfect day, or the perfect opportunity. They create it. They understand that progress is a result of daily repetition, of doing what needs to be done long before it feels rewarding. Discipline is the ability to delay gratification, to sacrifice comfort now for a future that's worth it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your self-respect. Discipline is self-respect in motion. When you say you're going to do something and you follow through, you prove to yourself that your word has power. That's how confidence is built, not by empty affirmations, but by disciplined action. Each morning you rise early. Each time you choose focus over distraction. Each time you push through exhaustion, you are rewiring your mind to believe in your own strength. And once you start trusting yourself, you become unstoppable. But discipline is not glamorous. It's not loud. It doesn't seek validation or applause. It's quiet, repetitive, and often boring. It's waking up before sunrise to work on your craft while the world sleeps. It's saying no to instant pleasure because you're committed to long-term vision. It's choosing focus over comfort, action over excuses, and growth over gratification. Most people crave results but reject the process. They want the reward but not the routine. They want transformation but not the trade-offs. Discipline demands that you surrender your comfort in exchange for your calling, and that's not something everyone is willing to do. The beauty of discipline is that it eventually becomes identity. What starts as effort becomes natural. What begins as resistance turns into rhythm. The things that once felt difficult start to feel normal because you've conditioned your mind to operate at a higher level. The disciplined person doesn't rely on willpower anymore. It's just who they are. They don't need motivation to do what's right. They've built systems that make excellence automatic. That's the power of consistency. Discipline turns ordinary habits into extraordinary results. If you want to grow, you must fall in love with routine. You must respect the structure that supports your dreams. A disciplined life might look simple, but it's not small. It's focused, intentional, and powerful. Every disciplined choice compounds. You might not see the results today, but they're forming beneath the surface. Discipline is like planting seeds. You don't dig them up every day to check their progress. You water them, you protect them, and you trust the process. One day the harvest arrives and it's massive, but only those who stayed consistent get to enjoy it. Discipline also teaches you control. In a world full of distractions, discipline allows you to focus your energy on what truly matters. Every time you resist temptation, be it procrastination, laziness, or fear, you strengthen your mental muscle. You learn to manage yourself, and that is the highest form of freedom. Real freedom is not doing whatever you want whenever you want. It's having the power to do what you should do even when you don't want to. That's the paradox of discipline. It feels restrictive at first, but it ultimately sets you free. When you make discipline a part of your identity, life becomes simpler. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop seeking permission to act. You don't waste energy deciding whether or not to follow through. You just do it. The world becomes quieter because your focus becomes sharper. Discipline clears the noise, aligns your purpose, and builds momentum. And momentum is everything. Once you start building it, you don't want to stop. You begin to crave progress more than comfort, and that craving drives you to levels of growth you once thought impossible. There will be days when you feel tired, uninspired, and unmotivated. Those are the days that define you. Anyone can work hard when it's easy. Discipline is what keeps you going when it's not. Remember, every great achiever had countless days when they didn't feel like showing up, but they did anyway. That's the secret. That's the difference. The disciplined understand that feelings are temporary, but results are permanent. If you can master yourself, you can master your destiny. Discipline is the art of self-mastery. It's choosing to act with purpose instead of reacting with emotion. It's turning pain into power, resistance into routine, and struggle into strength. It's what turns vision into reality. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop chasing motivation. Build discipline instead. Build the structure that will carry you when your emotions fail you. Because one day the discipline you build today will become the freedom you enjoy tomorrow. Growth doesn't come to those who wish. It comes to those who work, relentlessly, consistently, and quietly. Discipline is the difference between a dream and its manifestation. When you understand that, you'll stop waiting for inspiration and start creating transformation. Because discipline isn't punishment, it's proof that you believe in your potential. And when you live with that level of belief, growth isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Falling in love with the process is one of the most powerful decisions you can ever make in your journey of growth. Most people fall in love with the idea of success, the recognition, the rewards, the final outcome, but very few fall in love with the process that leads there. The process is not glamorous, it's not easy, nor is it quick. It's repetitive, demanding, and often lonely. But it's where greatness is built. The process is the path through which your dreams are tested, refined, and made real. It's where you discover who you truly are and what you're truly capable of. If you can fall in love with the process, success will eventually fall in love with you. The process is where you build habits that shape your destiny. Every small action you take, every repetition, every disciplined step adds up over time. The results may not appear immediately, and that's why most people give up. They confuse slow progress with no progress. But the process doesn't work on your schedule, it works on its own timeline. Every day you commit to the process, you are depositing energy into your future. The universe doesn't ignore effort, it multiplies it. When you plant the seeds of consistency, patience, and discipline, the harvest will always come. But you must trust that unseen growth is still growth. To fall in love with the process, you must stop worshiping the finish line. You must learn to find meaning in the journey itself. The finish line will always move. Once you achieve one goal, your mind will create another. That's the beauty of being human. You're designed to evolve. But if your happiness depends only on reaching a destination, you'll live in a constant state of dissatisfaction. The real joy of growth comes from seeing yourself become stronger, wiser, and more capable every day. It comes from looking back and realizing that you've come farther than you ever thought possible. When you learn to love the steps, not just the outcome, you become unstoppable. The process will test your patience. It will stretch your endurance and challenge your faith. You'll have days when nothing seems to work, when you question whether it's worth it, when your effort feels invisible. Those are the defining days, the ones that separate the dreamers from the doers. Anyone can stay motivated when things are going well, but true strength is built when progress feels invisible and you keep going anyway. The process doesn't just build results, it builds character. It teaches you resilience, persistence, humility, and the discipline to keep moving forward when no one is clapping for you. Loving the process means embracing failure as a part of growth. You can't evolve without mistakes, and you can't improve without setbacks. Every failure teaches you something that success never could. It shows you where your weaknesses are, where your limits lie, and where you need to grow. Instead of fearing failure, study it. Let it sharpen you, not shame you. The process is never about perfection. It's about progress. Each time you fall, you're being prepared to rise with more wisdom, more strength, and more clarity. The process teaches you to stop chasing perfection and start pursuing mastery. When you fall in love with the process, you learn to detach from the outcome. You stop rushing, comparing, and stressing about timelines. You understand that everything worthwhile takes time. Trees don't grow overnight, bodies aren't built in a week, and purpose isn't discovered in a single moment. It's revealed through consistent action and reflection. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care about results. It means you trust that results will come at the right time. You do your best every single day and let time do its work. That's the secret of all great achievers. They focus on the process and allow success to unfold naturally. The process also teaches humility. It reminds you that greatness isn't about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about showing up, improving 1% at a time, and respecting the grind. The process doesn't care about your ego, it cares about your effort. The person who humbles themselves to learn, to start small, and to keep showing up always wins in the end. Because while talent may give you a head start, only consistency will keep you in the race. The process will also reveal who truly supports your growth. When you're in love with the process, you're not easily distracted by opinions or external validation. You stop needing others to see your progress. You learn to keep your head down and let your results speak for you. People might not understand your focus, they might even call you obsessed. But that obsession is what separates winners from watchers. You must be willing to work in silence for months or even years while the world doubts you, because when the results finally arrive, they'll be undeniable. There's a peace that comes from loving the process. You no longer live in anxiety about when success will come or how it will look. You stop rushing time and start appreciating the moment you're in. You find beauty in effort itself, in every early morning, every long night, every small victory. You realize that the process is not the obstacle to your dream, it is the dream. The transformation you're seeking doesn't happen at the destination, it happens in the journey toward it. When you commit to the process long enough, you begin to realize that growth never ends. You fall in love not with the achievement, but with the becoming, with the person you're turning into through every struggle, every repetition, every challenge. That's the magic of the process. It molds you, strengthens you, humbles you, and prepares you for everything you've asked for. And when success finally arrives, you'll know it wasn't luck. It was the result of your patience, your effort, and your unwavering love for the journey. So stop waiting for the reward. Stop seeking shortcuts. Fall in love with the process. Wake up every day knowing that what you're building takes time, but it's worth every second. Because the person who loves the process will always outlast the one who only loves the prize. The process is where greatness is born, and those who embrace it never lose. You cannot step into your highest potential while clinging to your old self. Growth demands transformation, and transformation demands destruction. The person you are right now was built by your past decisions, beliefs, and habits. But if those patterns no longer align with your vision, they must be broken down. Destroying the old you isn't about hate. It's about rebirth. It's about acknowledging that you've outgrown certain parts of yourself and having the courage to let them go. It's about realizing that the comfort of the familiar is the greatest enemy of your evolution. Every time you hold on to who you used to be, you delay who you are meant to become. This destruction is not easy. It's emotional, it's painful, it's messy. You'll have moments where you feel lost because you're shedding identities you've worn for years, but that's how it's supposed to feel. Growth is the death of the old self. The habits that once felt natural will now feel heavy. The environments you once enjoyed may begin to drain you. The conversations that used to excite you may start to feel empty. That's not depression, it's evolution. You're elevating beyond what once satisfied you. And as you grow, you'll realize that becoming your best self often means disappointing the version of you that played small. The old you will try to pull you back. It will whisper reminders of comfort, safety, and routine. It will tempt you to return to what's easy, but you must resist. You must remind yourself that the pain of growth is temporary, but the pain of staying the same lasts forever. Destroying the old you requires discipline and awareness. It's choosing to unlearn toxic behaviors, challenge limiting beliefs, and step away from cycles that no longer serve you. It's about recognizing the difference between what feels good and what does you good, because not everything that brings you comfort brings you growth. You can't hold on to fear and expect to build faith. You can't cling to excuses and expect to find progress. You can't keep feeding your weaknesses and expect to discover strength. The old you is built on survival, but the new you is built on purpose. The old you reacts, the new you responds. The old you settles for less, the new you demands more. The old you lives by emotion, the new you lives by vision. To create the new you, you must be brave enough to bury the old one. You'll have to face parts of yourself you've been avoiding. The insecurities, the self-doubt, the procrastination, the fear of failure. Those are the walls standing between who you are and who you want to be. You cannot evolve while pretending they don't exist. You must confront them, study them, and dissolve them with self-awareness. Growth begins the moment you stop running from your own reflection and start taking responsibility for it. It's not easy to look in the mirror and admit that your habits, not your circumstances, have been holding you back. But that honesty is the first hammer that cracks the foundation of the old you. Destroying the old you also means forgiving yourself for who you've been. You can't move forward while carrying the weight of past mistakes. Every poor choice, every failure, every setback, they were lessons, not life sentences. The old you was necessary to build wisdom. Without the old you, you wouldn't have the clarity or strength to transform. So instead of resenting that version of yourself, thank them for surviving, for getting you this far, and then release them. You can't build a masterpiece on top of old ruins. You must clear the ground first. The destruction of the old you will also cost you relationships. Some people are connected to the version of you that no longer exists. They may not understand your transformation. They may call you distant, different, or even arrogant, but that's the price of elevation. You can't take everyone with you. Some connections are seasonal, meant to teach you lessons, not to last forever. When you start growing, you'll naturally outgrow certain people. Don't chase what you've outgrown. Don't apologize for evolving. The right people will meet you at your new level. The wrong ones will fall away at your old one. Destroying the old you means replacing weakness with strength, excuses with action, and doubt with faith. It's choosing new habits that align with the person you want to become. It's waking up earlier, thinking deeper, eating cleaner, focusing harder, and speaking more intentionally. It's saying no to what drains your energy and yes to what expands your mind. Every small change chips away at the old identity until one day you wake up and realize you've become someone new. There's beauty in this destruction because it's not really an ending, it's a transformation. Like a phoenix rising from ashes, you must be willing to burn what no longer serves you to rise stronger. The more you let go, the lighter you become. The lighter you become, the faster you grow. The faster you grow, the clearer your purpose becomes. That's the gift of destruction. It makes room for rebirth. Remember, the old you cannot take you where you're going. You can't carry your old mindset into a new chapter. You can't enter your destiny with the baggage of your past. You must become willing to destroy your old fears, your old habits, your old limitations, and even your old dreams if they no longer align with your truth. Transformation isn't about adding more to your life. Sometimes it's about removing what no longer belongs. So let the old you fall apart. Let the old patterns die. Don't resist the process of becoming. The destruction you fear is the doorway to your evolution. You're not losing yourself, you're finding your truest self beneath the layers of who you pretended to be. That's what real growth is. Not becoming someone new, but returning to who you were always meant to be. The journey of growth is not gentle, it's fierce. It demands that you destroy what's false so that what's real can rise. So, be brave enough to burn your old limitations. Be bold enough to break your own patterns. Be relentless enough to keep rebuilding until your life reflects the greatness that lives within you. Because the only thing standing between you and your next level is the courage to destroy the old you and step into your evolution without fear. Becoming obsessed with your growth means understanding that progress doesn't happen by accident. It's built by consistency, discipline, and an unshakable belief that you are capable of more. You can't casually wish for transformation and expect it to show up. Growth demands your full attention. It requires you to show up every single day with purpose, even when motivation fades, even when no one is watching, even when results are invisible. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they lack persistence. They stop too soon. They let temporary discomfort convince them that growth isn't worth the effort. But those who become obsessed with their evolution never stop. They see every setback as a test, every challenge as a teacher, and every delay as preparation for something greater. You have to reach a point where your desire to grow becomes stronger than your desire to stay comfortable. Growth isn't about convenience, it's about commitment. It's waking up earlier to chase your vision while the world still sleeps. It's choosing discipline over distraction, purpose over pleasure, and consistency over comfort. Every moment you invest in your development compounds. Every day you train your mind, body, and spirit, you are building momentum toward your highest potential. The people who win are not the most talented. They are the most consistent. They've made growth a non-negotiable part of their identity. When you become obsessed with your growth, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop saying, "I'll do it later." You stop waiting for the perfect time. You start realizing that progress doesn't wait for your feelings to align. It demands action regardless of how you feel. You begin to treat your goals like oxygen, something you can't live without. That's the level of intensity real growth requires, because there will always be distractions, temptations, and voices telling you to slow down. But obsession silences the noise. Obsession sharpens your focus. Obsession makes you unstoppable. Every great achiever in history had one thing in common. They were consumed by their mission. They weren't driven by comfort, applause, or external validation. They were driven by purpose. They had a fire that couldn't be extinguished by failure, rejection, or fatigue. That's what true obsession looks like. It's when the process itself becomes the reward. You stop counting results and start counting efforts. You stop waiting for success to feel proud and start feeling proud because you didn't quit. You start living with a level of hunger that refuses to let mediocrity breathe in your presence. The world will call you extreme when you commit to your growth. They'll say you've changed, and you have. They'll call you obsessed, and they'll be right. But obsession is just passion directed toward purpose. It's the energy that fuels transformation. It's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. While others sleep, you're studying. While others complain, you're practicing. While others doubt, you're building. That's what obsession does. It turns every ordinary moment into an opportunity for mastery. Growth is not glamorous. It's repetition, sacrifice, and self-discipline. It's showing up on the days when no one claps for you. It's pushing through when your body is tired and your mind is tempted to quit. It's facing failure after failure and still believing in your potential. It's doing the boring work that no one sees but everyone eventually respects. The results come quietly, then suddenly, and when they do, the same people who called you obsessed will call you gifted. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't talent, it was persistence. It wasn't luck, it was labor. It wasn't chance, it was consistency. Obsession transforms you from a dreamer into a doer. It turns potential into progress. It sharpens your character, toughens your mindset, and deepens your faith. Because growth is not just physical or material, it's spiritual. Every time you push past your limits, you build confidence. Every time you face your fears, you build courage. Every time you keep going when it hurts, you build resilience. And those traits become the foundation of greatness. They become the armor that protects you when life gets hard. Becoming obsessed with your growth means you stop comparing yourself to others. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. You're not racing against anyone else's timeline. You're mastering your own. You stop scrolling through other people's highlights and start focusing on your own progress. You stop measuring success by validation and start measuring it by evolution. Because growth is not about looking better than others. It's about becoming better than you were. You have to be willing to sacrifice temporary comfort for permanent change. You have to detach from the approval of others. You have to be okay with isolation because growth often requires solitude. The time you spend alone sharpening your mind, healing your heart, and building your skills will pay off in ways that the world won't understand until they see it. And by then you'll realize that validation was never the goal. The goal was transformation. When you become obsessed with your growth, you stop waiting for the world to motivate you. You start becoming your own source of inspiration. You remind yourself daily why you started. You speak life into your vision. You feed your mind with positivity and your soul with purpose. You protect your peace like a sacred space because you understand that energy is everything. You guard your time because you know every moment counts. You stop making excuses and start making progress. You stop living by chance and start living by choice. Growth doesn't happen in one day, but it happens every day. Every decision, every action, every habit, each one builds the person you are becoming. The more obsessed you become with that process, the faster your life changes. So, stay hungry, stay focused, stay relentless, because the greatest version of you is waiting on the other side of your obsession. The more you pour into your growth, the more your world expands. The more disciplined you become, the more powerful your life feels. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that the obsession that once made you different was the same force that made you unstoppable. Becoming obsessed with your growth means realizing that there is no finish line. You are not just chasing success, you are chasing mastery. You are building a mindset that never settles, never becomes complacent, and never stops evolving. Growth isn't a phase, it's a lifelong commitment to expansion. It's a promise you make to yourself that no matter how far you've come, there's always another level to reach. You stop asking, when will I arrive? And start asking, how can I become better today? That's what separates those who rise from those who remain. You stop living for the weekend and start living for the purpose that drives you every single day. The greatest people in history didn't wait for growth to happen. They demanded it from themselves. They trained their minds to see obstacles as opportunities and failure as feedback. They understood that growth is not an event. It's a lifestyle. It's something you live, breathe, and embody. Every challenge becomes a mirror, showing you what still needs to be developed within you. Every setback becomes a message from the universe, inviting you to strengthen the parts of yourself that still hesitate, doubt, or fear. That's how the obsessed think. They see meaning in everything. Nothing is wasted. Every experience adds another layer to their evolution. When you live in this mindset, you start to respect the process as much as the outcome. You no longer chase quick success because you understand that true transformation takes time. You begin to find joy in the grind, peace in the discipline, and satisfaction in the small wins that most people overlook. Every hour you spend learning, every morning you wake up to improve, every night you reflect on your progress, it all counts. It all compounds. Because growth isn't measured by massive leaps, it's measured by consistent steps taken in the right direction. You have to train yourself to fall in love with the climb. Everyone wants to reach the top, but very few are willing to carry the weight of persistence that the journey requires. You'll have days when motivation disappears, when your energy fades, when the results seem invisible. That's when obsession takes over. That's when you push through, not because you feel like it, but because you've made growth your identity. You don't need external motivation when internal drive fuels you. You don't wait for inspiration, you create it. You understand that every act of discipline is an act of self-respect. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted, and that self-trust becomes your greatest power. Growth is not only about doing more, it's about becoming more. You start evolving in your mindset, your patience, your emotional control, your focus, your compassion, your purpose. You begin to see that every area of your life is connected. When your mindset strengthens, your relationships deepen. When your health improves, your confidence expands. When your discipline grows, your opportunities multiply. The more obsessed you become with your personal development, the more your outer world mirrors that transformation. The universe always responds to the energy you give it. When you vibrate at the level of purpose, everything in your reality starts to align with it. But this journey will test you. Growth will challenge your comfort zones, your beliefs, and even your identity. You'll have moments where you question if it's worth it. You'll lose people who can't relate to your evolution. You'll face loneliness, uncertainty, and self-doubt. But through it all, you must remember, growth is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be transformative. The fire you walk through is shaping you. The isolation you feel is preparing you. The challenges you face are carving strength into your soul. You're not breaking down, you're being rebuilt. The person who becomes obsessed with their growth doesn't fear change. They embrace it. They understand that growth and change are the same force wearing different names. You can't become someone new while clinging to who you were. You have to be willing to release the old patterns, old environments, and old ways of thinking that no longer align with your future. You can't grow inside a comfort zone. You have to step into the unknown. That's where growth happens, in discomfort, in risk, in courage. You evolve every time you choose to move forward despite fear. Becoming obsessed with your growth also means taking full accountability for your life. You stop blaming people, circumstances, or luck. You start realizing that your results are a reflection of your habits, your mindset, and your consistency. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you, and you start building yourself. You stop saying someday and start saying today. You stop talking about potential and start proving it. When you take radical responsibility for your growth, you become unstoppable because no one can take that power away from you. This obsession will also change how you see time. You'll start valuing every second because you know that every moment is an opportunity to grow. You'll spend less time complaining and more time creating. You'll spend less time scrolling and more time studying. You'll invest your energy in what builds you, not what drains you. You'll protect your peace because you'll understand that chaos destroys progress. You'll treat your focus like a sacred resource because it is at some point you'll look back and realize how far you've come. You'll remember the nights you almost gave up, the days you felt invisible, the moments when it all seemed impossible. And you'll smile because you'll know you didn't quit. You kept showing up. You kept growing. You turned your pain into power, your fear into faith, your doubt into determination. That's what obsession with growth does. It turns ordinary people into extraordinary examples of what's possible. So keep going, keep evolving, keep pushing yourself beyond what's comfortable. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be persistent. You don't need permission, you just need purpose. You don't need everything to be easy, you just need to refuse to give up. Growth doesn't happen overnight, but it happens every night you choose to try again. Every morning you rise with a vision. Every moment you refuse to settle. Because the truth is, growth never ends. There's always more wisdom to learn, more strength to build, more peace to discover, and more greatness to express. You are both the student and the masterpiece in progress. Becoming obsessed with your growth means dedicating your life to becoming everything you were meant to be and refusing to live one more day below your potential. That's how you rise. That's how you transform. That's how you become unstoppable. Becoming obsessed with your growth means understanding that life is not waiting for you to be ready. It's moving whether you evolve or not. You can't pause time, but you can choose how to use it. You can choose whether to let the days slip away in distraction or to fill them with purpose, discipline, and growth. Growth is not something that happens by chance. It's something that's built with intention. It's a daily decision to show up as the most dedicated version of yourself, even when no one's watching, even when progress feels slow, even when your faith is tested. The truth is, growth rewards those who refuse to quit. It favors those who keep showing up again and again with heart, hunger, and humility. There comes a point in life where you realize that potential means nothing without pursuit. You can be talented, intelligent, and gifted, but if you're not obsessed with using what you have to create something meaningful, it will all fade. Growth isn't about waiting for perfect conditions. It's about building progress in imperfect ones. It's about choosing to take action when you don't feel like it, learning when it's uncomfortable, and moving forward even when you're uncertain. Every small step compounds into something greater. Every moment of discipline builds a foundation that others can't see but will eventually feel. You may not see the results right away, but that's the beauty of growth. It's silent at first, then suddenly undeniable. When you truly become obsessed with your growth, you stop chasing validation. You stop needing others to recognize your efforts. You stop caring about applause and start caring about alignment. You begin to focus on who you're becoming instead of who's watching. The real reward of growth isn't what you gain. It's who you evolve into. It's the peace you feel knowing you're progressing, the pride that comes from keeping promises to yourself, and the strength that forms when you refuse to quit, no matter how many times life knocks you down. Growth is not always glamorous. It's not always exciting. It's often lonely. You'll lose people who can't understand your dedication. You'll be misunderstood, criticized, and doubted. But you must remember that the path to greatness is rarely crowded. Most people stop when it gets hard. Most people choose comfort over commitment. But if you want to live an uncommon life, you must develop uncommon habits. You must do what others won't, so one day you can live how others can't. You must fall in love with the process of improvement more than the idea of success. Because success is not a destination, it's the byproduct of consistent daily growth. Becoming obsessed with your growth requires you to become your own motivation. You have to be your own coach, your own encourager, your own source of strength. You can't wait for someone to push you. You must push yourself. When you start realizing that no one is coming to save you, something powerful happens. You start saving yourself. You start taking responsibility for your habits, your mindset, and your direction. You start realizing that every choice you make either moves you closer to your vision or keeps you stuck in the same cycle. The moment you take full ownership of your life is the moment you reclaim your power. There will be days when growth feels exhausting, when the weight of your goals feels too heavy to carry. That's when you must remind yourself why you started. You're not just growing for success. You're growing for strength. You're growing for peace. You're growing for the person who once doubted you. You're growing to prove to yourself that you can become more than your circumstances. Every time you refuse to give up, you rewrite your story. Every time you get back up, you show the universe that you're serious about becoming your best self. Growth doesn't just change your results. It changes your character. It makes you tougher, wiser, more resilient, and more compassionate. Obsession with growth also means learning to love challenges. Instead of running from discomfort, you run toward it. You start to see failure as part of the path. You understand that mistakes are not proof of weakness. They're proof that you're trying. You stop fearing the unknown and start embracing it as your greatest teacher. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens in the struggle, in the grind, in the moments where quitting seems easier, but you keep going anyway. Those moments define you. They shape your mindset and forge your identity. They remind you that strength is not something you're born with. It's something you build through pain, patience, and persistence. When you become obsessed with your growth, you stop competing with others. You start competing with your past self. You stop comparing timelines, and you start trusting divine timing. You realize that your journey is unique, and rushing it only robs you of the lessons meant to prepare you for your next level. You stop needing overnight success because you understand that real growth is built through years of consistency. The stronger your foundation, the higher you'll rise. Every season of struggle is setting you up for a season of breakthrough. Every delay is preparing you for the moment when opportunity meets readiness. Growth also means understanding that peace and progress can coexist. You don't have to live in chaos to evolve. You can move forward with calm determination. You can stay grounded while chasing greatness. You can be patient while being passionate. Balance doesn't mean slowing down. It means moving with purpose. It means protecting your energy, focusing your attention, and aligning your actions with your values. The more obsessed you become with growth, the more intentional you become with how you spend your time, who you allow into your space, and what you give your energy to. Eventually, your growth becomes your legacy. People will look at your discipline, your strength, and your mindset and wonder how you did it. They won't see the hours of silence, the nights of self-doubt, the tears, or the sacrifices. But you'll know it's built by relentless consistency, by a commitment to never stop learning, by an obsession with becoming your best self. That's the true essence of growth. It's not about impressing others, it's about transforming yourself so deeply that your very presence inspires others to rise. So keep going, keep evolving, keep building yourself into the person you were born to be. Growth doesn't happen in one great leap. It happens in thousands of small, invisible moments where you choose to rise instead of retreat. You won't always feel motivated, but you must always remain disciplined. You won't always see progress, but you must always trust the process. The obsession with your growth will make you unstoppable, unshakable, and undeniably powerful. Because when you refuse to stop improving, life has no choice but to reward your persistence. Becoming obsessed with your growth means transforming every single day into an opportunity to evolve, to rise, and to expand beyond who you were yesterday. It's not just about chasing goals. It's about building a mindset that never stops striving for more. It's about understanding that you were not born to remain the same, to repeat the same days, or to live the same story. You were born to unfold, to stretch beyond your limits, to become a living example of what transformation looks like. True growth is not a destination. It's a way of life. It's the decision to wake up every morning and ask yourself, how can I become stronger, wiser, and more disciplined today? When you become obsessed with your growth, you begin to look at every experience differently. You no longer see challenges as obstacles. You see them as invitations to grow. You no longer see pain as punishment. You see it as preparation. Every setback becomes a setup for strength. Every mistake becomes a lesson in awareness. Every delay becomes an opportunity to develop patience and resilience. Growth doesn't come from things going your way. It comes from how you respond when they don't. The more life challenges you, the more it's shaping you into someone capable of handling greater blessings. Growth is the process of becoming the kind of person who can hold what you've been asking for. You must understand that growth requires separation. To evolve, you'll have to leave behind versions of yourself that no longer fit your purpose. You'll have to detach from distractions, break old patterns, and distance yourself from anything that slows your momentum. That may include people, habits, or environments that no longer align with your goals. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Growth requires you to honor your future more than your past. You can't elevate and cling to the same comfort zones. You can't build new levels of yourself while holding on to the old identity that's been limiting your progress. If you want to grow, you must be willing to let go. This obsession with growth changes the way you think, speak, and act. You stop complaining about your circumstances because you understand that complaining doesn't create change. Action does. You stop waiting for motivation because you understand that motivation is fleeting, but discipline is permanent. You stop wishing for things to get easier because you realize you're meant to become stronger. You no longer crave quick success, you crave mastery. You no longer seek shortcuts. You seek substance. You start valuing consistency more than comfort, focus more than entertainment, and long-term impact more than instant gratification. Growth demands that you learn to be uncomfortable, because discomfort is where your evolution begins. You cannot discover your strength without struggle. You cannot build resilience without resistance. Every time you stretch yourself beyond what feels safe, you're teaching your mind that you're capable of more than it believed. You're reprogramming your identity. The gym doesn't build muscle without tension, and life doesn't build character without challenge. The pain you feel when growing isn't a sign of weakness. It's a signal that you're shedding limitations. Becoming obsessed with your growth also means building a relationship with solitude. The deeper you go into your journey, the more you'll realize that not everyone can walk with you. Some paths are meant to be walked alone because that's where you find your clarity, your focus, and your truth. The noise of the world fades, and the voice of your intuition becomes louder. In solitude, you start seeing who you really are without distractions, without validation, without comparison. That's where you meet your true self, the one who's been buried under fear, doubt, and expectations. Growth happens in that silence. When you dedicate yourself to growth, you start to measure success differently. It's no longer about how much you have, it's about how much you've become. You start celebrating inner victories, discipline, patience, emotional control, gratitude. You start valuing progress over perfection. You realize that every small step forward, no matter how quiet, is building something powerful inside you. It's the small, invisible habits, the journaling, the studying, the consistent effort that turn into the breakthroughs everyone else calls luck. Growth rewards the unseen work. The more obsessed you become with your growth, the more you'll realize that every aspect of your life is connected. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, it all grows together. When you strengthen one, you elevate all. The discipline you develop in one area spills into others. The focus you gain in your work reflects in your relationships. The patience you learn through struggle gives you peace in chaos. Growth doesn't happen in isolation. It's a ripple effect that transforms your entire being. But this obsession also teaches you humility. The deeper you grow, the more you realize how much there still is to learn. You stop pretending to know it all. You become a student of life. You start asking better questions instead of seeking easy answers. You begin to see that the true power of growth isn't just self-improvement, it's self-awareness. The more aware you become of your patterns, your triggers, and your purpose, the more control you gain over your destiny. There will be times when it feels like you're not moving fast enough. You'll see others succeeding and wonder why your time hasn't come yet. But you must remember, growth is not a race. Your journey is unfolding at the pace your soul can handle. The universe doesn't delay blessings, it prepares you to receive them. Every season of waiting is a season of strengthening. Every moment of doubt is an invitation to deepen your belief. Stay patient, stay consistent. Trust that your persistence is planting seeds that will bloom when the time is right. One day you'll look back and realize that every difficult chapter was necessary. Every heartbreak, every failure, every disappointment, it was all shaping you, molding you, preparing you for this moment. You'll see that your growth wasn't random. It was divine. It was the unfolding of your highest potential through pressure, perseverance, and purpose. And you'll be grateful you didn't quit when it was hard. You'll be grateful you stayed obsessed with your growth when no one understood why. So keep going, keep becoming, keep evolving. Don't fear change, embrace it. Don't resist the lessons, absorb them. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Create progress with what you have. Every day you dedicate to your growth is another day you honor your purpose. Because the truth is, your life will only expand as much as you do. The more obsessed you become with your growth, the more powerful, peaceful, and purposeful your existence becomes. You are your greatest project, your most important investment, and your lifelong masterpiece. And the world needs the fullest version of you, strong, awakened, and unstoppable.